with the lights out and the blinds all fixed. I finally cracked my code. A few shots, some kind of words, some cigarettes to the trick. I let my guard down and got my tongue tied up and tore some pages out. Read me like a book and let me open and shut. Hit the ground hard and you just rub it in. I'd like to feel more down, hypnotize my heart in the night. Said it's my fault you were messed up, but you weren't the way. And all this time, all that you had, just to throw me off and catch me in the way. And I was so fevered and rushed. I think you may have noticed I got kind of a crush. It was easy with my heart on my sleeve for you to knock it right off. Pin it to your shirt and then I'll back of a leg. It was alright and I would testify. The man I'm waiting every last day, just the love giving you, just the love to take was worth it. Don't wanna hold it in, but one more day is all I need. It's just all I need. It's just all I need. Don't leave.
My guest today on the 525 Records podcast, none other than the IcanIcant's. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, 2/3 of the IcanIcant's.
We have Mark and Adam, and missing is Andrew. Let's just start off right away. I mean, Andrew, how awesome is that guy?
He's great. I really like that guy. He's he's got arms and legs.
He's my replacement. Elliot Kotz.
There is no replacement. He was the next guy.
I just, I'd like to point out that I was the original bass player. And it's then you kick me out because of musical differences.
Well,
your iron fist hand of tyrannical rule.
Let's not jump the gun here. Well, you were gone. Andrew played on that song, or Andrew was in the studio. No, I know you said
when you guys went into the studio, it was 2012, and I was looking at the master tape today, and it's dated January 2012.
Wow. Well, why?
What did you play? What songs did we play as a band with you in it?
Bad Luck Please. Faded, Love Life, all the IcanIcant's hits. In fact, we should play one. What should we listen to right now from the IcanIcant's?
Let's just. I mean, Love Life is the first track I think that we did anyway, so it's probably. Wait, before we do that, you started. Yeah. You started with a song. We should really, if we're going to talk about the IcanIcant's, we don't have a huge catalog, so let's not jump the gun. We have a song that we should discuss because there was a big change to this song. What's the name of that song?
Well, there's many names.
No. What's the name that I call it?
You call it Hands Up.
Right. Why?
Because the very first line is Hands Up.
Right. The very first line. But
is it in the song?
Did anybody hear that? Did anybody?
No.
Did you hear that?
I chopped.
No,
I made an executive producer decision. I chopped it.
I give you a bad time on that, Elliot. But the first time that I heard that, I remember we got in a huge fight, and it was specifically because I was so mad that you decided to chop off lyrics that I had written, and now I look back on it and I listen to the song and it sounds just fine without those lyrics at the beginning. But
there's an entire verse is cut out.
Yeah, an entire verse that actually makes the song make a little more sense if you hear that verse.
It's true, but it's also a very long solo guitar intro.
There is that too.
It's just solo guitar and hands up,
right.
You had your hands up. And given today's
like it was a hold up,
crazy climate,
held up in your hideout now.
I feel almost psychic. I mean,
well, let's just say what the lands. So the first verse was hands up. You had your hands up, like this was a hold up, held up in your hideout now. And then it goes with the lights out,
which is right where the edit cut was that I performed.
That's a good lyric to drop.
I thought so. Looking back, I thought at the time I was like, no, why would you do that? But now I'm like, yeah, it's not necessary.
I mean, I made an executive decision, love it or hate it.
I know.
I felt entitled at the time. There's always going to be both versions. This is the beauty of this. It's really turning one song into two.
That's true. Yeah.
And there's the E-Train mix, and then there's the full unadulterated as the director's cut. The director, if you would say.
Cut. I got it. All right. Yeah. I like that.
Do you play all the guitars on that song, Mark?
I don't play all the guitars on that song.
I just have one little track, and it's the little slide down echo.
Everything else
is at the end of the song.
But all the little like.
Yeah, that's me.
The crazy noodles are Mark.
Crazy noodles.
I was impressed. I don't think I've heard it like
in the headphones. In the
like that, like the deep. Yeah, that's. I was sitting there. I was zoning in on that. That was great.
Thank you.
It's 3 tracks. There's 2 panned hard right, hard left, and there's one at the middle. And then it was a real time on the fly mix. I was really riding the faders, old school mixing, which I thought came out great.
That's why it comes in and out so good. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little bit of panning, a lot of level changes, a lot of riding the faders. If you ever watch like old school mixers mix, they're just like butterfly fingers, and
so they call them.
It's like little tiny micro adjustments constantly happening, and it puts a life into the mix where everything isn't just flatlined like it's zero, right? And you're just hearing levels. Yeah. It's a constant micro adjustment, and it's like very fluttering.
There's a lot of fluttering. I'm a little butterfly.
Oh, that's what we should listen to right now.
I am a little butterfly, floating on the winds of denial. Just wait till I fly by. Just wait till I fly by. Just wait till I fly by. Just wait till I fly by, like a little butterfly. Floating by on the wings of denial. It's a place in Egypt. Denial. Come join me there.
This is my practice take.
Little butterfly. Flying on the wings of denial is what it sounds like you're saying there.
Yeah.
And it's reminding me of, there's an ancient proverb quote, whatever you want to call it. It's the bird that thinks the air under its wings is a hindrance. And if only it could get rid of all that air,
it could go in denial then.
So much faster. Don't you see how prophetic those words are?
I mean, I came up with them, so...
You made that song on the fly. That was one of these impromptu jam recordings where we're setting up levels. We're trying to just get mics going. And then out of nowhere, you bust into the song. None of us have ever heard it. It's just a total improv jam. And we just kept it going.
That's definitely a post. A post IcanIcant's song, though. A post 45-minute lick song, also. It's not an old song.
That's impressive that you just played
on the fly.
On the fly, that's great.
First time pickup.
Bass drum or bass playing is awesome. Mark, this thing is great.
Yeah,
it reminds me a lot of that Ben Folds impromptu jam, which is Fanny Packs.
Oh, yeah.
Off of
Fanny Packs.
Naked Baby Photos.
Naked Baby Photos, yeah.
Where they're setting up in the studio getting
That's
levels.
True. That's true.
They're talking about
that is a definite.
For all of y'all that wear fanny packs.
Yeah, that's a good song. That is a good song. If you can get the rights to that. You should drop a snippet of that.
We could play that right now if we want to.
You should throw a snippet of it in there.
You goddamn, that's some fucking shit! Yeah, I said it. For those of y'all fanny packs, this song's coming out. It's coming at ya! I wanna borrow an Allen wrench. I wanna borrow some duct tape. I wanna borrow a mic cable. Face in your face! Face in your face! Face in your face! Face in your face! OG sin! Alright, let's break it.
Well, it's
how close that is.
It's practically boomer music now. It's
That's
so
true.
old, but
that's true. Anyway, yeah, no, it was fun too. It was fun setting up, but man,
what? I mean, that just came out of you in an explosion.
I did. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what was happening in my life at that time that made me think of the Wings of Denial.
What does the Wings of Denial mean to you? See, this is to me. Jim Carrey talks about this a lot. How the choices you make when you're improvising are very revealing, very telling. You don't even realize you're making these choices yet.
Right.
Somehow you came up with this ancient proverb about wings of denial.
Yeah, a little butterfly floating on the wings of denial. Yeah, because if he started to think about what he's doing, he doesn't have any idea what he's doing, right? Like, he just does it. But if you started to think like, oh, I got to fly, like from our perspective, we'd go, that's just crazy. That's a bunch. I deny that in a heartbeat. So
that's impossible.
But I've always had good impromptu jams with a lot of bands. Even with IcanIcant's, I think we've had some good impromptu.
Sometimes that's the best stuff too. It just comes out of nowhere.
Like that video you did for the IcanIcant's.
Oh, that's my favorite thing.
It was fucking.
My
it was
favorite
all
thing.
impromptu.
Oh, did I shoot a video for you guys?
Yeah.
This is
after you were out of the band, because Andrew definitely plays bass in that band.
Well, it's the 525 Records podcast. We're talking to the IcanIcant's today. The IcanIcant's are Mark Breitenbach, lead vocals and guitar, Adam Alcala, percussion and backup vocals, Andrew Blake, who's not here today, unfortunately. He could not make this podcast.
Andrew's over there. Andrew, say hello. Hello, guys.
That's exactly how he sounds.
That's the current lineup for the IcanIcant's. And 525 Records, we're just proud to release a live recording from you guys that happened a few years ago.
Is it the White Eagle?
In Portland, Oregon, yes. Opening up for the great Blue Skies for Black Hearts. Actually, they middled, I think, if I recall.
I think the Smokes had done something, too.
There's a live recording of us?
The Smokes closed, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I do think Blue Skies opened. Huh?
See, Blue Skies love to middle because they could...
Oh, did they middle?
Oh, they lived in the middle because they could pack the van up and get out. Yeah, where if you headline, then you got to stick around, and it's a whole thing. And if you open, nobody's there.
Sometimes the middle's the best place to be for that very reason that you described.
Yeah. And they were the masters, you know. They as soon because not only do you have to get your shit off the stage and into the van ASAP, then
especially at the White Eagle. We can't leave it. Like it makes
there's
sense.
No room.
Yeah, it makes sense to get your shit out of there. Because you got to stack it up outside otherwise.
But then how convenient is it to just, we might as well just get in the van and leave right now.
I will say, though, that Pat, I'm sure Pat was there the whole show. Probably Michael. Probably, I don't know. I bet they were there.
Bro, they probably had 2 shows that night. I mean, you don't know.
Man. Yeah. I feel like they were probably there that night, all of them.
There's a couple times, too, where just Pat would play between us, I think. So it was just Pat... doing solo stuff.
Switch it up a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
A lot of times the Smokes would open. It's the first time ever, the 525 Records podcast, where we've had a live music in-studio performance from a musical group or person.
Yeah.
What do you feel like doing?
I kind of want to do Bad Luck Win.
Let's do it.
Oh, about that bad luck when
That was the IcanIcant's live with Bad Luck Win. A great song. Mark, what's that song about, man?
It's a song about a guy that's spending he's got a bad habit. So
a gambling habit.
Doesn't matter. Could be a gambling habit. Could be any habit. But he does something that upsets the person that he loves.
Like blowing all the money for rent on gambling?
Yeah, that could definitely be it. And so, so it's kind of about his story and her story, having to figure out if she's ready to just pack it up and give it in, or if she wants to stick it out. But
well, that was a first for the Fat Too Fat Records podcast. We've yet to have an in-studio live performance from a group. So that was awesome. That was really good.
Yeah, that was really fun. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for playing.
Thanks for doing. Yeah, great guitar work. By the way, speaking of somebody playing on it, Elliot just did the guitar, masterful guitar that you heard.
How'd it feel, Mark, to just sit there and sing?
It's weird. It's strange to sit in the comfy chair, an easy chair, and because I'm currently sitting in an easy chair and singing from this easy chair. So there's a version on YouTube of that song, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I have a question. I mean, we've all written songs a little bit. How often do you think you sit down with an actual premise in mind versus something that just sort of evolves out of like just singing? Kind of phonetically and then wrapping around a narrative.
I don't usually have a premise in mind. Yeah, it's usually lines. If
you study the greats, the way they do it is they sort of open channel it. They'll have a riff or a melody, right, but they won't have words or lyrics, and they'll listen to it and it'll sort of just pop in their head. Like this, I've said this on a number of episodes already, but I'm going to do it again. A lot of the greatest lyrics in history have been written that way. Def Leppard Hysteria, right? They would go in and just mumble, blah, 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 whatever they thought they were hearing. And then the producer and another guy would go in with the cans and they would listen and write down what they thought they heard. And before you know it, you got pour some sugar on me.
Oh.
This is also something Jeff Tweedy talks about quite a bit, about just going in the booth and just sort of saying the first thing that comes to your mind, and it may not make any sense at first, and there may be gaps, big time gaps, but eventually it'll sort of take shape.
Like a hummingbird.
But I actually have Jeff Tweedy talking about this exact process. It's just one of these things I have at the ready.
I do this thing on almost all of my tracks that I record at the loft when I'm working on new songs. I hum or mumble something where I think words are going to go,
right,
with a melody, and a rhythmic structure that I think is going to fit, and that allows me to keep working on the song without having lyrics.
Right.
And then at some point, I sit down and I translate what
the mumbles,
your brain is wired to do that. You can't listen to chaos and nonsense without your brain wanting to hear words. So if you listen to it over and over and over enough, you just hear words.
Right.
And so I write those down.
I'm surprised that at some point you didn't do just a mumble song.
How do you know I have?
I don't. I don't know the full catalog.
So there you go. I mean, a lot of the greatest songs that have ever come about that way. So that's my favorite. So
are you saying this was a great song we just did?
Well, yes, but I'm also saying Adam had a great point. Whereas you can sit down with a premise and you can say, I'm going to write a love song. I'm going to force the chords and I'm going to force the lyrics, and sometimes that works. Sometimes it's great, and nothing wrong with it.
No, I haven't. I used to write lyrics first and then try and put a song to my lyrics, but now I always go. It's always music first, and a melody comes into play.
What about when you were a part of the incredible Portland ensemble of CAC, the collective of MCs, where you really had to bring it to the plate? Did you hear the song first, or would you just write raps?
No, I would hear the song first. I would go to Eric's basement one time, went to his basement, and just he played the beat, and I'd listen to it over and over again, and then I'd go outside and I'd write some words. Then come back in and see if they'd fit, and then try. The words came pretty easily, but it was definitely trying and and make them fit into the structure of the song, where you got to have a certain amount of syllables.
Is that in that music, like hip hop? Is it harder because there's more words and kind of relies more on cadence and rhyme, but can be a little bit more silly perhaps, or do you have to kind of keep that balance?
The problem always comes with making something that makes sense to me, anyway, for me, and thinking of what it will make sense to other people as well. But a lot of times, typically, stuff ends up making sense automatically. So you'll hear these words together, and like Tweety was just talking about, you want to make those, even when you hear those words, if they don't sound like a common phrase you'd ever heard.
That's what I call the Beck effect, where it's like
bad luck win.
Purple pancakes coming down like syrup in a hurricane with the syrup.
Very true.
I mean, then totally. Wow, this guy's a genius.
Well, yeah,
just happens.
I'm not gonna diss Beck. I do like Beck. Some of it is nonsense. I do try to make stuff that makes sense, though. My words, anyway.
It's just there's like 3 different kinds of songs. There's like the heartbreaking divorce breakup song where you're like, oh, I have to write a song that embodies. You don't even have to
call it that. Let's call it the sad song.
The sad song, sure. Yeah. There's also the in love song. Yep. It's almost the yin and the yang, totally, right? You have being in love is almost as good as being divorced or breaking up, where one is the end on the far spectrum, but then the third song is kind of like just sort of happened. Just sort of came across, it's like a middle.
Those are like Easy Chair, or like, some sort of, I'm trying to think of another song that we did.
She's Got a Ticket to Ride for the Beatles. It's just kind of it's a song. It's on the album. It's not the single. It's not anything anybody is going to be like, oh, this is the greatest Beatles song ever. But it just sort of happens.
It happens to be my favorite Beatles song.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
It's joking.
When it comes to just like pure commercial lyrics, Brown Eyed Girl. I mean, kids, adults. It's a song you grew up with. It's a
what about Into the Mystic? Remember that one? She was born before she was born. Does it make sense?
I don't
think that was lyrics.
This whole high fidelity argument of former great artists that are now tarnished in their later years, there's a famous line from that movie is, can a formerly great artist be held account to his crimes that he's committed, post haste?
From what movie are you speaking
High
of?
Fidelity.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Like Michael Jackson, or there's so many. There's just so many.
Yeah,
anyone sticks around long enough and they just, I don't know, they fade or it changes, and they're always probably better periods of their career that you identify more, or maybe you hang on. I definitely have bands that I like because I liked them 20 years ago, and if I heard them today, I don't know, but
the movie specifically referenced Stevie Wonder, and I Just Called to Say I Love You. The guy comes into the store. He wants to buy. I Just Called to Say I Love You.
Right.
For his dog.
Jack Black goes, that shit.
Right.
He won't sell it to him. Yeah.
And can a formerly great artist be held account for his later musical crimes?
I mean, I don't think that. First off, that shouldn't have been held against Stevie Wonder, because it was the guy's choice to buy that album. So, I don't think that. So I don't think that's a horrible album. Sorry.
Oh my God! We're learning something.
Just Called to Say I Love You is a pretty.
That's got to be the worst song ever written. Adam, back me up.
I love that song.
My God!
That song came out when I was coming online musically in the 80s.
That's how the IcanIcant's came.
Wait a second. You guys are telling me Stevie Wonder's "I Just Called to Say I Love You" is a good song. You're gonna go to bat for that song?
Yeah,
really?
Let's hear your nays against it.
It's a commercial piece of shite.
Well, it's for a movie, first off. So what? So what?
And I mean it from the bottom of my.
But I have a question about that. Like at that level,
isn't it? Did you listen to 60s songs and hate those too? Because they do the same.
I was like
shit,
you. I
dude.
grew up on oldies FM radio. The oldies.
The tracks of my tears.
That's Smokey Robinson. Don't you dare say a bad word about him.
Well, then what the hell are you talking about then, dude?
That's a far cry from "I Just Called to Say I Love You," which was in every mall in every city in
What about
America.
My Girl?
That's now we're talking Temptations, a whole different thing.
Look, there are some things about that though. Like
it's easy songs, dude. There's nothing. Sorry, Adam. I don't mean to cut you off, but he's making me mad about this whole thing.
About Stevie
It's
Wonder.
not. It's not. Somebody that writes a simple song shouldn't be held. That shouldn't be.
Wait.
Shouldn't go against them.
You're starting with the end result of this, right? Nobody writes a song like this is going to be this iconic, one way or another, worst song in the history or the best song. I just called to say I love you. It happens to break that way, and it
Very true.
It catches with people. So at that level, especially, and this is what I've learned, realized later. That level, especially, your job is to write hit songs, and if there's any bands out there that act like they wouldn't take that hit song,
through every single month of the calendar and saying how much he misses this lady. At no New Year's Day, no celebrate, whatever. He's so in love with this girl that he misses her so much that he's wrote the song about it. So what if the melody makes you mad, or that it was doesn't appeal to you? I don't understand how it's the worst.
It's like you're
song
mad that
ever,
he got
dude.
super popular for just that.
Yeah.
Well, you get to a point in your career where you're sort of cruising, and it's just sort of like collecting checks. I mean,
also the '80s, dude.
The '80s were
'80s, man. That puts a caveat into everything.
It's true.
Man.
The '80s were a different time, a different place, and a different
this
era.
against Stevie Wonder. All right, I don't think that was necessarily right in that movie. Same with Tina Turner. Like, she's a great artist, but
what's love got to do with it is a passionate performance.
No, what about we don't need another hero?
That like Cher is a great example of this. Do you believe in life after
what
love?
What is the most popular song that you love?
Well, how is that a good example?
Dude, I don't even know.
What was your favorite early Cher song?
What's your favorite song that you can rely on hearing on the radio?
I mean, for me, it was early Stones. For sure. An AM oldies radio.
No. I mean, like Guilty as
Pleasure. Oh, Monster Mash, shit like that. I mean, when you're a little kid.
No, we're not talking about that.
No, like I really like Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson. Don't know why. I just love that song. And a few of her others. I have some of those things that people wouldn't believe that I like.
There's like some Pink songs I like.
Well, Justin Timberlake, for me, like,
he's the man.
Suit and Tie, when that single dropped, I was like, I can't not like this.
Can't not deny it, right? You reach a point with your.
No, did you have a playlist in your casino that you had to listen to? That
yes,
all this stuff was on that drove you mad.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because I'd like to rail on this, actually, because a tactic of torture at Guantanamo Bay is to lock a terrorist in a room and then blare the same song over and over and over and over and over. It could be a heavy metal, like Let the Bodies Hit the Floor is one of the favorite torture songs. It's Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Right.
And it's just over and over.
It just repeats
at 120 decibels with these huge PA speakers, and you can't leave your cell, and that's how they torture you.
Right.
So when you work at a casino, it's very similar. They play Kelly Clarkson. Since you've been gone, I can breathe all the food, and you have to hear that on a loop every hour on the hour. And they have probably 15 songs they play.
Right. And it probably changes like every 3 months or something.
Well,
right?
it depends on who's running the place. Some of the managers are cool. When I first started there, we heard a lot of like Amy Winehouse, which was awesome.
That's all right, yeah.
They would change it up a little bit. Okay. But eventually the corporate overlords came in and they said, no more control.
I've been listening to Spotify a bit more. And I really hate that. I'm never doing it by choice. I'm always a passenger in a car or something. And it's always the same songs. And I feel like there's some songs that are so good and so popular, they should just be retired from those platforms just to make room for other stuff. I mean, I always like to use the song Margaritaville. Like, I just don't think we need to hear songs like that anymore. I mean, that's
a niche market.
And so sometimes it's really hard.
The Eagles, maybe. Desperate.
Yeah, Hotel California. I mean, they're all fantastic. But
no, they're great songs.
But when you get into that nowadays, some of the delivery channels for music, it's hard to find new stuff.
Right.
Sometimes because you want what's tastes good.
Well, yeah, and it probably leans to it's going to go towards whatever is most commercial.
Yes.
Totally. And commercial now is stuff like Little Xan.
Yeah.
Rappers.
Post Malone.
I mean,
Megan
Lord.
Thee Stallion.
You can make an argument for Lord, maybe.
I like Lord. I do like Lord. I like, man. I mean, I have, I have both Migos albums down in my collection. I like.
That's hardcore.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. But like Future, I have one of his albums too. But I also have like the latest Courtney Barnett album.
Well, this is the other thing about your and Adam's difference musically. You're big into hip hop.
I'm a big hip hop guy. Yeah.
Adam, are you into hip hop?
No, but see, here's one thing I will definitely say about Mark and my relationship, especially musically, is I'm learning about things late, and so a lot of things, and so Mark and I always send each other music, and I kid him that I'm waiting for that one time I send him a song that he's never heard, and it blows his mind because 9 times out of 10 it's all I know. Yeah, I have that, and he knows the record, he knows the band, he knows the side projects, he's heard it, and so he is able, when I do get into something, he can shook and expose me to more of it. And hip hop is something that I pick up just from coming over here, and so just talking about what we're listening to, totally getting a better ear for it.
Yeah, I definitely like to. Yeah, Adam is always been receptive to anything that I play, which is pretty cool. I always find. I mean, there's certain things he likes more than others, so I'm sure of that. But he's never said, "Fuck, that's just shitty." What is this you put on?
I was there a couple of weeks ago, and I was playing a song for him, and he had to tell me he didn't like it, or and it was kind of hard for him. And
That's right. That's right.
I was like, "Oh, it's okay, man."
Yeah, I was all like, "I'm not sure. This is not one I care for." But I don't. You, I guess, are better at it. They must probably have done it to you, but you just have gone, "No, I like it."
It's always. I found so much music here,
Well, and it's easy. We used to, I used to scour Rolling Stone for and spin and want to see who was going to be the up and coming things, what everybody was talking about. And so, and then that dropped off once magazines went away, and I just didn't surf the internet as much or have interest in paying to find that stuff out anymore. Then it became a matter of what's iTunes selling me, So it's kind of stinky, but it also became a matter of, well, let's just make our own music. And the IcanIcant's can do, we're musicians.
It's hard to keep a band together. It's hard to get 3 or 4 guys or whoever,
to
women.
Commit to come into practice and playing music for a couple, just to commit. Just everybody loves to play the music, but the commitment time that has to be put in because everybody has a life.
Somebody's always got to drive to practice from a long way away.
That's true. I'm so lucky that I lost my legs.
Yes, we should bring up the listeners.
For a reason.
Yeah, but you had a crazy year last year, buddy.
I mean, man. Yeah, last year and a half, yeah.
If anybody out there is diabetic.
Yeah, I lost both my legs. I am a type 1 diabetic. I also have a blood clot issue that affects me a lot.
It was real touch and go last year.
It was.
I'm so happy we can just sit here and do this because you seem to be in such a better place.
Oh, man, we had a podcast we did in the hospital that I still, to this day, I feel like I was just on. I mean, I don't remember anything about it, and I was on so much meds, so much medication that I just. Yeah, I'm glad we got to do this again.
That was episode 1, the very first episode ever of the 525 Records.
I still am honored for it. I do love it. But I got 45 minutes, and since then, you've had 8-hour episodes.
Well, E-Rock was the longest.
I know. But Adam got 2 hours even.
Well, dude, I mean, this is when we did your podcast, we were on live mics.
I don't really have
I have much better gear now. So
I just want to say, a year ago, when everything was happening, there's just no way I thought a year from now we'd be here. No way.
Sitting in a room playing music and having a podcast recording.
I'm not trying to make a joke, but you'd be back up on your feet, you would be.
That too.
You'd be, up and getting and just doing your thing, and you immediately jumped into music and learning how to play drums and
figuring out how to play the trickiest thing that at first that I had to figure out was getting the pedal right for the piano, because without ankles it's really hard to press down on shit. So it was more once I learned to stomp, then it was fine. And then I went over to the drums and if I can stomp this, I could probably stomp that.
The fine touch control.
That's the tricky shit. That's the
little micro feather touch on the feet.
Exactly. And that's what and it also is just Yeah, it's different singing. Like I don't stand right now to sing, so everything's seated. So it's a little bit. I feel a little less like I have a little less oomph in my voice. But anyway,
what's the last thing you remember before they're putting you under to get your leg chopped off?
Oh, the first leg that I got. Well, man, so when I went in to get my leg chopped off, I remember. Oh man, there's not a lot I remember. Look, I was in so much pain. So they had already done all this stuff to try and save my leg, and I got this thing called compartment syndrome, and it's a really painful process. And if you want to know what it is, look it up because I don't really know what it is. I just remember it hurt a lot, but I got that, and then they said, "Look, I think we're gonna have to. It's not your leg is going, so we're gonna have to get rid of it." So I was like, "Look, if it stops this pain." Then great. So I guess the last thing I remember was thinking, I hope this helps me not feel the way I was feeling before.
Do you remember the morning of the day that the procedure was
going to I remember the first time that I found out I had to get a wheelchair ride from the doctor's office over to surgery in order to get my leg chopped off. And so, because he was like, we got to go in now and do it. Like, it's too dangerous to leave it the way it is. It was already, my toes had turned black. And the leg itself was getting, like I said, it was just so painful, man. I couldn't take it. They did ultrasounds. There was all these little tiny blood clots in there. So it's just it was bad news. So
I can't imagine, everyone knows what it's like to have a nightmare and wake up from that nightmare and be relieved that it wasn't real and thank God that was just a dream. But what is it like waking up post-op after you've had an amputation and then
confusing? It's pretty confusing. I'll tell you, the second time was more confusing. With the second leg, actually, it was worse. The first leg, I felt like, I still have another leg. This is not the end of the world. And also the first leg, I lost below the knee. So I was like, I still have my knee. I could envision myself, what I thought of immediately was a pirate with like how they're able if they're able to walk around on a little peg leg, then I could get something. I'm sure that'd be easy, right? But the second time that all this happened all over again, like 9 months after the first leg, I got back home finally, and then the same pain started happening, but in the good leg or in the leg I had. So when I went and got that procedure done, when I woke up after the procedure was done, I remember just being, I didn't know what hospital I was in. I thought I was in some like far off. It was a really strange, surreal first like week, I think, afterwards, because I was really doped up, and they had taken the leg off above the knee on this one. But I'd learned also from the first time that I lost my right leg, after like the second or third night after the drugs had finally worn off, I got up and tried to walk, without thinking that I had a leg still. So it was the middle of the night. I get up, I fall immediately on my face, and somebody comes running in, and they put a bed alarm on me. They're like, you can't, you're on too many drugs, and we don't want this happening again. So yeah, I got a bed alarm. So, but I never, aside from, I don't know, man. I just never, I never thought it would. I guess I never thought diabetes would go this far that I'd lose my legs over it. But then when it happened, it wasn't something I didn't expect. I guess I'll say it was something that I thought probably might, like, okay, this is par for the course. I see. So,
a very challenging experience that none of us can relate to.
Wow.
The thing that blew me away was watching the phantom pain, and the therapy they were giving you was with mirrors, trying to trick the brain, and it really harkens to the reality itself and how you perceive the world around you. And I mean, everybody says when you get a leg chopped off or a limb, you have that weird phantom pain for a while. And
I still do. I still have.
You still have it to this day.
I don't think that phantom pain will ever go away. There's still, when I put on my fake leg, my ankle feels. I feel like something's squeezing my ankle.
Even though you don't have an ankle anymore.
Yeah, I have no.
There are no nerve endings.
No,
there's nothing there.
There's still nerves that had gone to my ankle, but they're all bunched up in the bottom of my leg now. So they don't necessarily cut all the nerves.
But your brain perceives it as, oh, my foot hurts. Or my
exactly.
lower extremities that are no longer there.
That, my brain perceives this. There are certain times I'll get weird feelings too. Like there's other times when I felt like that my toes like were too tight, but my toes were right at the bottom of my stump rather than
really
where I would normally feel the toes.
Oh man.
So, but with the ankle or some other times, I will feel like my ankle, should be a few inches down or whatever, down my leg. It's weird. It is weird, and it's more. I think it happens more with the leg that has the knee still, rather than the other leg. The other leg just gets like nerve pain, but phantom pain comes mostly from my right leg. So.
Do you, in your opinion, that mirror therapy that they give you, I mean, how effective is it?
I think it's good at first. I mean, I think your brain starts to go, this is. I think your brain starts to recognize that this is not a. It just starts to wear off. I think Eventually, you start to the joke, the punchline. This is okay. Your brain starts to go, this is a mirror, and while it does trick it a little bit, I found that after a week or two, I used to be able to. The supposed theory would that you scratch, if you were looking in the mirror and you scratch the leg that is the real leg, and this only worked obviously when I had my other leg, right? So, but when you scratched it, that the leg that was missing, you were supposed to relieve your itch, because there would be times I'd get itches, like especially at first when I first got the leg amputated, I'd get like itches in my calf or something like that, and it's impossible to scratch it. Actually, I still do. Once in a while, I do. And I do find, though, that now I can actually scratch the bottom of my legs, and it makes the itch that I feel in my calf or the itch on the bottom of my foot that isn't there. It'll make it go away.
It's hard to know what to say after that. It's just, it was a crazy year for you, for sure. And but now, I mean, a year later, it's...
yeah, man. We're playing music again.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I would love to be able to actually go play music, though.
Yeah.
Considering the time that we're in.
Poor people.
What was the last gig that you guys played, do you think?
We played on election night. Well, let me take that back. We played, we did a TV show a couple years ago, year and a half ago.
That's true.
But our last official show was the election night, Obama v. Romney.
Yeah.
So what's that, 12 years ago?
12?
8 years ago. 8 years ago. And I would say it was our best show. I don't think there's a party going on. Anytime I've been in a band that's gotten any crowd, it's because there's something else going on nearby where we happen to be playing, and so we get some spillover. And so that night was one of those sorts of things. And so
we played with Emergency that night.
Yeah,
we played with a band called Emergency. And there was a police officer in the band, and I can call him a cop, I guess. And there's a cop in the band, and all his cop friends came.
Fuck 12.
All of his cop friends showed up, and yeah, they were great. Did cocaine on strippers' asses and had a fun time.
Bro, do you remember your bachelor party?
Dude, I don't want to talk about my bachelor party on here.
Did you have a bachelor party?
Very boring one. They tried to do the typical thing, and it fell flat on its face. Ended up leaving my own bachelor party to go do something else.
Oh. That's lame. That sucks.
They say like half of all web traffic is fucking porn.
Of course it is.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Every great invention they make for the internet somehow touches porn.
Was that not the first thing you tried to go see when you found out about the internet?
If you were a dude.
The first thing I looked up was I tried to find
so
pictures.
Half of the internet. First thing, what? I'm sorry.
I tried to find pictures of Jennifer Connelly naked.
Yeah.
That was the very first thing I looked at.
But you guys are old enough.
And back then is when you get something, whatever that meant. You would just line by line by line.
Yeah, it took
JPEGs loading over a dial-up connection took forever.
But back then you thought it was fucking amazing. You couldn't believe this was happening.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Okay.
So am I.
I'm gonna go make dinner. Then I can come back and look at this picture.
Right. Okay.
This is. We watched Borat last night, and there's a very tried and true technique in every single Borat movie where he shows his unwitting victim a stack of photographs, and they look very normal and innocuous. Oh, this is me and my daughter, and then blah blah blah. Oh, this is us at the Eiffel Tower, and then the very next picture is just a penis.
It was the one when he was doing the haircut.
Right.
He's like, oh, this is it's like him doing this to sheep, cutting sheep's hair, and then there's like one of him down next to a guy's trim bush.
He's a very patient man.
It's very surprising. It comes at you out of nowhere.
He pulls a goat.
Yeah.
He pulls a goat.
The goat is a reference to the movie Waiting. One of my favorite movies of all time. Adam, have you ever seen Waiting?
Who's in Waiting?
Ryan Reynolds. No. Anna Faris.
Anna Faris.
Dane Cook. No. Andy Milonakis. No. Who they do the
busboy. Yeah. There's
that rap song is the shit.
It's pretty good.
I'll have to check it out.
You should definitely see it. It's worth seeing. But the game is that the goat refers to is that if you come around a corner and somebody, or anytime you're surprised by somebody showing you their junk, like you just have to surprise you. Like you'll be going to like for instance, they take the rookie there to go show him where the garbage goes or something, right? And so when he dumps the garbage in and turns around to see Luis Guzman standing there, Luis Guzman has his nuts in his hand and is like, see, you saw my nuts at the game. So it's a weird game.
I caught you looking.
It's a caught you looking game. But there's a waitress there that wants to play. And they're like, no, it's just a dude's game. She's like, no, I want to play. So when she plays, I don't want to ruin it for you. You should see it.
Well, it's a callback to the new Borat movie because they've literally ripped off the goat.
Yeah.
They've stolen the entire premise.
When you see the girl's underwear and it's got all this hair sticking out from the sides.
Out of the sides, that's the key. The underwear is basically like a bandana on an afro.
Right.
It's just peeking out.
So she got the goat too.
But my favorite part is that Andy Milonakis rap at the end credits.
Did you just cue it up or something?
I don't know whatever would give you that fucking idea, but
You're struggling, living off ramen noodles. I'm in my Lexus, finger banging poodles. You call me a busboy, I'll bust you 3 times. Slice you 3 times, slice you 3 limes. To make you squeeze them on your own cuts. And bitch, you best give thanks before you eat my nuts.
Yo, who's that motherfucker throwing pot in the brownies? Bitches used to clown me, now they surround me. My mom tries to ground me, and then I slap her, a fucking capper. Don't she know I'm a rapper?
I don't care about love, fuck a more, fuck a dumb bore all day.
They're busboys.
My dick all in its glory. Swallow my nut, the shit is gourmet. I'm horny, but you fucking sluts bore me. But fuck you, bitch, I'll fuck your mama. Then I'll kill your papa to top the drama. Then I'll rape a llama to top that drama. I'll eat that pussy like Jeffrey Dahmer.
I got a gat in my hand, a pound in my tidy whities. A hit on my shit will make your eyes Chinese. My wallets are thick, and yours are thin, you dumb bitch.
Canceled.
And even my Canceled. Rich, you fucking retard. I'll pull your
Canceled.
Ready, willing, and able. You call me fucking fake just because I bust tables. Fuck you, I'll fuck your navel. Real thugs pop guns, you steal cable.
It's from the movie. It's from Waiting. That's it, isn't it?
Maybe the greatest song ever written.
I don't know, man.
I think that's goes to I Just Called to Say I Love You.
Yeah, I think we already discussed what that was.
And if you backstab me, I'll show you what a hearse is. You can't be fixed by 100 surgeons. I'll pull out my heater and boom, bye-bye. Even when you're dead, I'm busting nuts in your eyes.
Sin, I'll stick a dildo in while I'm hiding in the shenanigans garbage bin. And with the other hand, I'll doodle on some napkins. Fuck you with
Shenanigans.
And make you cheat on Atkins.
Yeah.
motherfucker. I'll work at shenanigans, but blow me cause I'm an OG. So get the fuck out my dome piece before I split yours. I used to have spit wars, and now I split whores in two. I am the walrus, goo goo you.
So back up, Sonny.
We got mad honeys,
We make much money.
and don't you dare laugh cause the shit ain't funny.
Squeeze the trigger, now your head's all bloody.
We got new rides,
Now we're flipping switches.
no more dirty dishes,
I steal people's wishes.
and clock mad digits.
Puff on a blunt and have sex with hot midgets.
I love when your cunt is balled up than Bruce Willis.
Nick and T-Dog, motherfucker, we the illest.
That's going to do it for this episode of the 525 Records podcast. Big thanks to the IcanIcant's for coming out and doing the show. Mark Breitenbach, Adam Alcala, Andrew Blake.
I hope you taped that. That's our next single. Oh, they've left.
They gave up. These guys are fucking idiots.
That sucked.